Are you excited to see the demo of Spring Data JPA? I'm very much excited to show you this demo. I'll go to my controller class here. As of now, we are trying to return a simple string as a response from our REST API. What I'm going to do is, I'm going to update this code to use the product repository to perform the query operation on top of my history database. Once the results are written, I'm going to return the same results to the UI application. First, I'll show you the demo without following any standards, but I'm going to update the same code in the coming lectures by following various standards. Inside this class, I'm going to create a private final variable of type product repository. Why I'm trying to create this as a final variable? Because I want to use constructor injection. Now let me create a constructor of public product controller, and inside this constructor I'm going to write this dot product repository is equal to product repository. On top of this constructor I can mention auto void annotation. With this, what is going to happen is the bean of product repository is going to be injected as a dependency into my product controller. Here I want to share some tips. Mentioning auto void is completely optional if your class has only a single constructor. As of now, since my class has single constructor, I can avoid mentioning auto void. Whereas if you have multiple constructors, you need to make sure you are mentioning auto void annotation on top of all your constructors. I can get rid of this constructor as well by using an annotation of Lombok. The Lombok annotation is at required aux constructor. If I mention this annotation behind the scenes, my Lombok, it is going to generate a constructor with the required arguments. When I say required, all the arguments which are marked as final. If I try to look for the list of methods and constructors inside my class, you'll be able to see there is a constructor which is having a single parameter of type product repository. If I have this constructor inside my compiled Java class, Spring Boot is going to take care of performing the auto wiring automatically. Once we have this bean injected, let me copy the same into my get products method, and with the help of this product repository, I'm going to invoke find all method because I'm looking to fetch all the records from my products table. This find all method, it is going to return list of product as an output. That's why let me mention list of product with the variable name as product list. Once we have this variable, the same we can try to return from our method. The return type of the method also should be updated here. This time I should mention list of product. Do you see how simple it is to query a database? With a single line, I'm able to run a select query on top of my database table. Let's try to restart our application and see the demo. I'm going to restart my application. Once the application is restarted, I can go to my Postman, and here I'm trying to invoke the same API. This time, if you click on the send button, in the response, you're going to get a JSON array with all the product details. In total, we have 30 different product details. All those details are received inside the response. Each product object, they have details like product ID, name, description, price, popularity, image URL, created at, created by, updated at, and updated by. The same kind of testing we can do from IntelliJ as well. As I said before, we can go to these products.http and try to send the request. And here also you'll be able to see we got complete 30 different product details as a response. Here, I want to share a tip around this HTTP client available inside the IntelliJ Ultimate. You can try to mention a comment on top of this get API by mentioning 3 hashes followed by any comment like get all products. Once I save this comment, I can close this file. From next time onwards, I don't have to open the products.html file manually. Instead, I can press Ctrl couple of times, which is going to open run anything pop-up inside my IntelliJ. Here, I can search for the exact comment that I have provided, which is get all products. There is a matching command which is available under the products HTTP file. If I press enter, behind the scenes, the API is going to be invoked and I'm going to get the similar kind of output. I hope you like this tip. Now let's go to the console logs. Inside the console logs, you will be able to see all the SQL statements that my Spring Data JPA is running behind the scenes. We try to invoke these API multiple times. That's why this SQL statement is printed multiple times. Let me clean all this console and execute this API one more time. As you can see behind the scenes, Spring Data JPA, it generated an SQL statement by using Hibernate framework help. This is the same query that is executed behind the scenes. Based upon this query, we got the results as a list of products. If your output is not working as expected, you can try to understand what are the SQL queries that the framework is trying to fire, and accordingly, you can try to identify the root cause of the problem. These SQL logs will only visible inside your console if you mention true for this property. Otherwise, by default, this property is going to be false and you're not going to see those SQL logs. With the updates that we have done so far inside our REST API, it is working perfectly. It is able to fetch the records from the products table. It is good to go to be consumed by the UI application. But we're not yet done here because we're trying to directly interact with the database from the controller layer, which is not a standard or which is not a best practice. Instead, we need to build a service layer, and from service layer only, we need to invoke the data access layer. Let's try to implement these kind of standards inside our application before we start integrating with the UI application.